Kion, the youngest cub of Simba and Nala, was introduced in the Lion Guard. He is Kiara's little brother, and he went from becoming the leader of his Lion Guard and one of the most powerful lions to being presented as the king of another pride. But how much do you really know about him? How did he achieve all of that? So today I'm here to tell you everything about Kion. Kion began his journey as a playful and carefree lion. His carefree nature contrasted with his older sister Kiara, who was training to be the future queen of the Pride Lands.
Because I'm training to be Queen of the Pride Lands.
Their father Simba often worried about Kion's low responsibility, because Simba knew that Kion, as the second-born, will have to become the leader of his own Lion Guard. And that's a big responsibility. During his early years, he was often getting into mischief with his best friend Bunga, a honey badger who was adopted by Timon and Pumbaa. When Kion and Bunga were young cubs, they stumbled upon Pua's crocodiles. But luckily, Zazu, the loyal major domo, intervened just in time, using his authority to chase the crocodiles away and save the two young friends. But this all changed because this wasn't the only time Kion and Bunga found themselves in danger. Once, Bunga was trapped by hyenas, but Kion saved him by using the roar of the elders for the first time. He didn't even know what it was or how he did it. That's when he discovered the Lion Guard. It is a group of lions protecting the Pride Lands, and its leader is gifted with the roar of the elders. Traditionally, the Lion Guard was composed of lions, but Kion had a unique vision. He tried to create a team that included animals from different species, each contributing their unique skills to protect the Pride Lands. Kion chose Bunga for his bravery, Beshte the hippopotamus for his strength, Fuli the cheetah for her speed, and Ono the egret for his keen eyesight. Simba was initially skeptical of Kion's unconventional approach. But Kion was determined to prove his idea. He showed Simba the effectiveness of his guard by successfully defending his sister Kiara from a group of hyenas led by Janja. This convinced Simba to trust Kion's judgment, and he allowed Kion to lead the new Lion Guard with only one lion. However, Kion and his guard had to face Janja and his hyenas to protect the Pride Lands. But this wasn't a big deal. The first big challenge came when Jasiri, a friendly hyena who lived in the Outlands, asked Kion for help, because Jasiri and her family were being kept away from their watering hole by a pride of lions. Kion found it weird to hear there are lions in the Outlands because he didn't know about Zira, but he decided to go to the Outlands with Jasiri and resolve the situation. Upon arrival, Kion encountered Kovu, Nuka, Vitani, and their mother, Zira. Zira, once a devoted follower of Scar, had been exiled to the Outlands along with her pride. Her hatred for Simba, whom she blamed for Scar's death, burned deep within her. Zira, aware of Kion's position as the leader of the Lion Guard, saw an opportunity to manipulate him. She revealed that she knew more about the roar of the elders than Kion did, including its ability to bring a brief rain shower by roaring at a cloud. Zira attempted to convince Kion to join her side, promising him power and knowledge beyond his wildest dreams. She claimed that together as lions, they could rule the Pride Lands and bring order under their control, because she told him that lions are chosen to rule other animals. Kion refused to betray his family and also the circle of life. Zira and her lionesses trapped him, intending to force him into submission. He didn't want to use the roar against them because Zira convinced him that the roar could not be used against other lions, or else its power would be lost. She claimed that Scar lost the roar this way, but in reality, Scar lost the roar due to his evil intentions. Kion didn't realize this and thought he was in a trap. Meanwhile, back in the Pride Lands, Rafiki informed the rest of the Lion Guard about the outsiders and their true intentions. Bunga, Beshte, Fuli, and Ono set out to rescue Kion. And as they arrived in the Outlands, they found themselves face to face with Zira and her pride. They started to fight, and Kion revealed to Bunga why he can't use the roar against the outsiders. But Bunga reminded him that Scar didn't lose the roar because of using it against other lions, but because he used it for evil. After Kion realized this, he finally roared Zira and her followers away from the Outlands, and Jasiri got her watering hole back. But at this time, Kion didn't know the most difficult challenge was only ahead of him. It arrived when one of the evil lions of the past returned. It was Scar, but how was it possible? Well, Kion played an important role in his return. When Makini, Rafiki's apprentice, discovered there's a way of talking to the lions of the past, she was curious and asked Rafiki if there is a way of hearing also the evil lions of the past. But Ushari, an exiled cobra, overheard them, and this revelation sparked an idea in him to bring back Scar's spirit. But Ushari needed Kion to do something. Scar had to be brought back by Kion's roar of the elders at the volcano, and with that, throwing a Bakura staff into the volcano. Ushari and Janja set their plan into motion by provoking Kion during one of their confrontations in the Outlands. Kion used the roar of the elders against Janja and his hyenas near the volcano. What Kion didn't realize was that his roar activated the dormant volcano. Thanks to the eruption, Scar's spirit began to materialize in flames. Scar wasted no time and created an army of outlanders, including hyenas, crocodiles, jackals, vultures, skinks, and even Ushari himself. He promised them power and revenge against Simba and Kion. Scar's manipulative tactics and cunning schemes placed Kion in a difficult position, but eventually, Kion and his guard came up with a plan to finally defeat Scar. But unfortunately, Scar also had a plan. Scar unleashed his forces to delay them, but Kion and his team fought their way through. When Kion finally faced Scar, Ushari unexpectedly lunged at Kion, biting him directly above his eye. The cobra's venom began to affect Kion mentally, clouding his judgment and weakening his resolve. What bothered Kion even more was that this scar stands for the mark of evil. But Kion found clarity and finally destroyed Scar with the help of the spirits of the great kings of the past. But Kion wasn't the only one who got hurt because Ono lost his sight while he was saving Bunga. Also, Ushari's venom was still in Kion, and he feared that he might lose control of the roar or even become like Scar. This internal conflict became one of Kion's greatest challenges as he fought to maintain his identity as a protector of the Circle of Life. Kion and Ono turned to Rafiki, the wise mandrill who instructed Kion to chew on Taliza petals. But Rafiki soon explained that while Taliza could ease discomfort, it was not a cure. He then revealed that he can't heal Kion and Ono, therefore said, if they are to get better, they must seek out the Tree of Life. It is a place where animals who were injured or sick could find healing, but the Tree of Life is very far away. It is not easy to find. Rafiki pointed to a series of landmarks painted on his lair's walls that would guide them along their journey. Luckily, Makini had already been at the Tree of Life during her training and therefore went on the journey with the Lion Guard. But Ono wasn't the keenest of sight anymore. Therefore, Kion replaced him with Anga. But he still appreciated Ono, so he added him to the guard again as the smartest and sixth member of the Lion Guard. Then they set off on their journey to the Tree of Life, guided by Makini and the landmarks. Along their way, they faced many challenges and made lots of friends, but also lots of enemies that were a leopard makucha, Chulun, a snow leopard, Aura, a fierce Komodo dragon, and manipulative Mama Binturong. After weeks of trials and tribulations, Kion and his team finally arrived at the lake, marking the entrance to the Tree of Life. However, before they could enter, they were confronted by Rani and her Night Pride, a group dedicated to protecting the Tree of Life from outsiders. Rani misunderstood Kion's intentions after witnessing him use the roar. She believed he posed a threat to those living at the Tree of Life. She didn't let them enter the Tree of Life, but when she told her grandmother, Queen Jana, about it, the queen was excited to hear about Kion's roar and told Rani to let Kion and his friends enter the Tree of Life. But not long after their arrival, trouble followed. The enemies they had made up had followed them to the Tree of Life. These enemies launched an attack, but the Night Pride handled it like nothing. Rani accused Kion of leading these enemies to their doorstep and that his presence had endangered the Tree of Life. Because once Makucha's gang had discovered the Tree of Life, they wouldn't want to just leave. Queen Janna stepped in and reminded Rani that while it was true that enemies had followed Kion to the Tree of Life, it was not his fault. They had been pursuing him long before he arrived. She urged both Kion and Rani to work together rather than against each other if they hoped to protect the sanctuary from future attacks. After some time, tensions between Kion and Rani began to ease. Under the care of Nirmala, a skilled healer, Kion began his treatment for Ushari's venomous bite. The process was slow and required patience, but Kion was determined to heal fully. Ono also received treatment. Then, after some days, Queen Janna passed away and completed her journey in the Circle of Life peacefully. Therefore, her successor Rani became the new queen. During Kion's healing, he had the opportunity to meet Askari, the leader of the First Lion Guard. Askari's spirit resided on Chika Escarpment, a place near the Tree of Life. Askari taught Kion everything about the roar and how he could truly master it. When the next battle with Makucha's gang took place, Kion used his Roar of the Elders to send all the enemies away for good. After the battle, Rani and Kion grew closer and together with others had a great time at the Tree of Life. But this peace didn't last long, because Jasiri, the friendly hyena, teamed up with Janja. And when they arrived unexpectedly at the Tree of Life, they brought urgent news. Zira, the vengeful lioness, had launched an attack on the Pride Lands with her pride. Kion gathered his team, Bunga, Fuli, Beshti, Ono, and Anga, and prepared for their journey back to their homeland. As we already know, the distance to the Pride Lands was very long, and it took them a long time until they arrived. When they finally returned to the Pride Lands, Kion and his friends were met with an unexpected sight. Peace had already been restored. The Pride Landers explained what had happened in their absence. That after Kion roared Zira out of the Outlands, she created a new plan to take over the Pride Lands.
Zira raised me to believe that Simba was our enemy. But after I got to know Simba and Kiara, I realized she was wrong.
After she tried to attack Simba's pride herself, Kiara and Kovu stopped and told them they don't need to fight because as lions, they are one. Zira's lionesses understood and joined Simba's side, but Zira refused. This bitterness eventually led to her downfall. This is what we saw in The Lion King 2, so this means that Kion wasn't in The Lion King 2 because he was healing at the Tree of Life. But something else had happened while Kion and his guard were away, because Vitani, Kovu's sister, formed her own lion guard during Kion's absence. A group composed entirely of lionesses who proved themselves capable defenders of the Pride Lands. Kion and his guard were surprised by this, and it led to a brief conflict between Kion's original guard and Vitani's fake lion guard over who should protect the Pride Lands moving forward. To resolve this dispute, both groups engaged in a competition to prove their worthiness. After some battles to decide which guard is better, it was time for Vitani to face Kion. But Kion understood that when Vitani chose to face him, she had proven herself as a capable leader without needing the Roar of the Elders. Then Kion passed the roar to Vitani and made her lion guard win. But when Askari saw this, he knew this meant Kion had completely mastered the roar, because he taught Kion that only the one who can let go of the roar can truly master it.
Only one who is willing to let go of the roar completely can truly master it.
I understand, and I'm willing to let the roar go.
So he gave him the roar back to use it at the Tree of Life. The members of his lion guard wanted and joined him in protecting the Tree of Life. So they bid farewell to their families and friends once more. They returned to the Tree of Life where Kion became the king alongside Rani. This all, especially how he was willing to pass the Roar of the Elders and the leadership of the Lion Guard onto Vitani, shows us how Kion had grown from a playful and irresponsible cub to a strong leader, also a good friend, and someone wise almost like Rafiki. Long live the king.